Beyond the Gates spoilers tease that Haley has an ultrasound photo and she insists the baby is hers and Bill's. But Dani is on a mission to prove it's fake, certain that Haley is using the pregnancy as a manipulation tactic to secure her place in Bill's life. Haley clutches the image like it's sacred, showing it to friends, family, anyone who questions her place in the Dupree legacy. Her eyes gleam with triumph every time she mentions the baby. She's calculated and precise in her storytelling, offering dates, morning sickness anecdotes, and craving confessions that align too perfectly. It's all too smooth, too rehearsed. And Dani sees right through it. Dani knows Haley wants the Dupree name more than she wants Bill himself. To Haley, the baby is a golden ticket and anchor in a life she hasn't earned. She wasn't there during Bill's worst nights. She didn't walk through the fire of divorce, the silent dinners, or the cold beds. Dani did. And now, after all of that pain, she's watching another woman build a narrative from lies. But it's not just suspicion fueling Dani's determination. It's instinct. She tracks down the clinic where the ultrasound allegedly came from. But the receptionist finds no record of a Haley Dupree or any alias she might have used. Dani then finds subtle inconsistencies in the photo itself, the contrast, the timestamp format, the font style, small discrepancies that might not mean much to the untrained eye, but scream forgery to someone who desperately wants the truth. Bill, meanwhile, remains suspended between two worlds. Haley whispers security and legacy in one ear while Dani's storming presence buzzes in the other. He wants peace, a clean chapter. But there's no peace with women like Haley and Dani. Haley feeds on control, Dani feeds on unfinished business. He tells himself he loves Haley, but the words taste hollow now. Every time he looks at her, he remembers the ultrasound on the refrigerator, the strategically placed baby books, the prenatal yoga classes she suddenly attends. It all came too quickly, too conveniently. Dani can't let it go. She's obsessed, and it's costing her more than she realizes. Her boyfriend, Andre, a grounded, soft-spoken man who once made her laugh during breakdowns, is growing distant. He asks for her time, her energy, her truth, but she's always elsewhere. Her phone buzzes late at night. Her laptop has tabs open to maternity clinics and legal paternity test resources. Andre gives her space, but space turns to silence. He confides in Ashley, his longtime friend, about the strain. Ashley, once harmless in Dani's mind, becomes a threat. She offers Andre more than sympathy, she offers possibility. She's attentive, affirming. And while Dani spirals into Haley's world, Andre begins to see a future with someone else. Haley watches Dani unravel. She basks in it, even fuels it when she can. One afternoon, she leaves a printed email from a fake obstetrician on Bill's desk, knowing Dani will snoop through his files. It confirms an upcoming second trimester screening completely fabricated. Dani bites the bait, takes the paper, and tries to call the listed office. The number loops into a generic voicemail. She keeps digging, but the more she exposes, the more erratic she appears to those around her. Bill begins to question her motives. Maybe Dani's not trying to protect him. Maybe she can't stand the idea that he's moved on. Despite everything, Dani won't stop. She shows up to Haley's prenatal yoga session posing as a newcomer, watches as Haley fakes a stretch and mimics pregnancy symptoms with theatrical skill. Dani records it, hoping to catch her slipping, but Haley is too good. She's been practicing this role. She's studied the part. She's even gone so far as to wear a silicone bump on days she feels scrutiny rising. Meanwhile, Bill starts to feel the pressure from the cracks forming beneath his feet. Haley demands a gender reveal party. She wants photos, cakes, fireworks. The whole performance. Bill hesitates but agrees. Dani crashes the event, standing in the background like a ghost of Bill's past. She doesn't speak, just watches. But her silence is louder than any outburst. Andre isn't there. He's with Ashley. The two of them out of town, quiet and unseen. Dani only finds out when she returns home that night and sees an Instagram story of the two by a lake, arms around each other. Her heart shatters, but she barely reacts. Her emotional bandwidth is spent. Still, Dani's not entirely alone. She visits a forensic image specialist, someone with credentials and an eye for digital manipulation. Together, they dissect the ultrasound. The specialist confirms Dani's suspicion. It's a stock photo pulled from a medical blog, doctored slightly, but unmistakable. This is the break she needed. But proving it won't be easy. Dani knows if she simply confronts Bill, Haley will twist it. She has to do it publicly, unavoidably. She orchestrates a family brunch under the guise of peace, invites Bill, Haley, and a few close friends. The trap is set. Haley arrives glowing, dressed in soft pink, hand resting dramatically on her stomach. The meal is awkward. Dani waits for the right moment. When Haley excuses herself to the restroom, Dani follows, finds her bag, and retrieves the fake ultrasound. Then she drops the bomb. "You stole this from the internet, Haley. You're not pregnant." The room explodes. Haley denies it, calls Dani unstable, accuses her of harassment. But Dani came prepared. She pulls out the specialist's report, signed and sealed. She hands it to Bill, whose hands tremble as he reads. Silence follows. Haley's face drops, her performance faltering. Then comes the rage. She flips the table, screams about betrayal, how no one ever believed in her. The facade crumbles. But even after the exposure, the aftermath isn't neat. Bill is hollowed out, ashamed for being fooled. Dani, vindicated but exhausted, has nowhere to go. Andre doesn't answer her calls. He's done. Ashley posts a picture the next morning, a kiss, a caption, "Found what I wasn't looking for." Dani stares at it, numb. She won the battle, but lost every connection she thought she had. And Haley, even in disgrace, isn't finished. The woman is broken, yes, but dangerous in a new way, a wounded animal with nothing left to lose. Everything Dani thought she wanted has burned around her, and yet she can't look away. Because behind Haley's lies was something deeper, a desperation not just for love, but for belonging. And that makes her more dangerous than ever. As the dust settles, new threats take shape, and Dani realizes the endgame hasn't even begun. Haley disappeared for 3 days after the brunch, her phone off, her apartment dark. Bill didn't know whether to be worried or relieved. The truth had scorched them all, but Haley's silence was the most dangerous part. When she finally resurfaced, it wasn't in tears or apology, it was in control. She filed a harassment claim against Dani, citing mental distress and stalking. She came armed with fake texts, screenshots, even a letter from a therapist alleging Dani's unstable behavior. The court date was set within weeks. Dani, still reeling from the destruction of her relationship with Andre, found herself battling on 2 fronts, clearing her name and trying to process the emotional chaos she'd left behind. She hadn't heard Andre's voice in days. Ashley had fully stepped into her place, now walking beside Andre, showing up in the social spaces Dani used to call hers. Worse, Andre wasn't hiding it. He looked free, light, a man no longer burdened by a woman trapped in her past. Haley's case against Dani picked up momentum. Media attention trickled in mall blog posts, whispers in parenting forums, local gossip. Bill, furious and humiliated, refused to support Haley's legal attack. But Haley no longer needed his support. She had twisted public sympathy into power. Online, she curated the image of a woman harassed during a fragile pregnancy. She'd gone from manipulator to martyr with frightening efficiency. She even started a blog, chronicling her pregnancy journey and the mental abuse she claimed to suffer at the hands of a jealous ex-wife. The lawsuit jeopardized Dani's career. Her firm asked her to take a leave of absence. Her friends grew distant. Everyone whispered behind her back. She'd exposed a lie, but the world didn't reward truth, it rewarded the performance of suffering. Dani, stripped of allies, considered leaving town altogether. But then came a break. A tech-savvy former colleague, curious about the screenshots Haley submitted to the court, uncovered metadata inconsistencies. The text conversations between Dani and Haley were manufactured. The timestamps didn't match Dani's known device logs. It was digital forgery. That discovery reignited Dani's fire. She submitted the findings to her attorney, countered Haley's harassment suit with one of her own: defamation, libel, emotional distress. The case flipped. Now Haley was on defense, and the house of cards began collapsing again. Still, Haley didn't retreat. She doubled down, claimed trauma had made her desperate. Claimed she miscarried from the stress. There was no way to prove she ever carried a child to begin with, but she used the miscarriage story to justify everything. Even without evidence, public opinion again started to tilt in her favor. Dani realized the truth didn't matter. Only narrative did. While court proceedings dragged on, Andre and Ashley became inseparable. They posted couple selfies, joint event invites, even started volunteering at the same nonprofit. Dani couldn't escape them. Her friends had chosen sides, and she was on the losing team. Every memory of Andre's hands, his eyes, his warmth became tainted by the image of him with someone else. She had spent so long chasing justice that she had no life left to return to. Still, she refused to let Haley win. She hired a private investigator to look into Haley's past, beyond what Bill or anyone else knew. What they found changed everything. Haley had pulled similar schemes before, in different cities, under slightly altered names. She had faked a pregnancy with a man named Eric Denning in Chicago, and again with a bar manager in Austin. In both cases, when confronted, she vanished and reinvented herself elsewhere. Dani compiled the evidence: photos, old restraining orders, testimonials, and handed it to her legal team. When confronted in court, Haley broke. She screamed. She called everyone liars. She threw a glass at Dani and had to be escorted out of the courtroom. That moment went viral, a sharp contrast to the soft-spoken victim she had presented online. The illusion shattered. Sponsors pulled out from her blog. Her lawyer dropped her. Bill filed a restraining order. In the wreckage, Dani didn't feel victorious. She felt empty. She stood among the ashes of 3 relationships: Bill's, Andre's, even her own with herself. She had become someone she didn't recognize. But the silence that followed Haley's fall gave her space. She returned to therapy, started walking in the mornings, cooking again. She deleted Andre's contact. She stopped checking Ashley's page. Months passed. The world moved on. Bill sold the house he once shared with Dani. Haley's whereabouts became unknown. Rumors said she changed her name and moved overseas. Dani didn't care anymore. She had scars, but she also had peace. Then a letter arrived. No return address. No name. Inside was a single sentence, typed in bold: "You think it's over, but it never is." Dani stared at it, her heart cold. There were no fingerprints. No way to trace it. But she knew. The war wasn't over. Haley had lost the battle, but she wasn't gone. She was regrouping, rebuilding. Somewhere out there, another version of the lie was forming. And Dani, despite all she had endured, was still a part of it. She burned the letter. Not from fear, but to deny Haley any more real estate in her life. She was done living in the wreckage. If Haley came again, Dani would be ready. Not as a woman scorned, but as a survivor who knew the cost of truth and the price of obsession. And across the city, Andre watched Dani's old number on his phone screen for the 100th time, his thumb hovering over her call. But he didn't press it. Ashley entered the room, carrying coffee and humming softly. He smiled at her, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. Because some endings don't belong to the people who deserve them. Some endings drift unresolved, because the past never really lets go. It only waits, watches, and rewrites itself for the next act. Weeks later, Dani took a job offer out of state. A clean slate. She moved into a small apartment overlooking a river, far from the people who knew her name. She left behind the courtroom headlines, the whispers, the looks of pity. She deleted her social media accounts and even changed her number. In this new place, she was anonymous, and for the first time in years, that anonymity felt like freedom. She started writing, not about Haley, not even about herself, but fiction stories that allowed her to shape chaos into meaning. The scars didn't vanish, but they stopped bleeding. She could breathe again. Until the second letter arrived. This one wasn't typed. It was handwritten, looping letters that Dani didn't recognize. No threats. Just one phrase: a storm doesn't pass until it takes everything. Dani's stomach twisted. She filed a police report, though she knew it was mostly symbolic. Whoever was sending the letters was clever. There were no prints, no surveillance footage. But this time, Dani didn't burn it. She tucked the letter into a folder labeled Keep. It wasn't just about survival now. It was about preparing. She bought a home security system. Took self-defense classes. Not out of fear but resolve. She would not be caught off guard again. She had underestimated Haley once. Never again. Back in the city, Bill heard rumors that Haley had been spotted in Vancouver under the name Lacey Trent. No one could confirm it. But the timing was suspicious. A new pregnancy blog had emerged, bearing eerie similarities to Haley's old writing style. Dani didn't care to look. But her PI did. He sent her screenshots, domains, user profiles. Dani read them all. Haley hadn't vanished, she had evolved. Andre and Ashley got engaged in the spring. Their announcement came with soft, overexposed photos in a wildflower field. Dani saw it through someone else's forwarded message. She didn't cry. She didn't rage. She simply closed the window and poured herself a drink. Closure doesn't always come with a door slamming shut. Sometimes it's a quiet decision not to open it again. Dani stood at her window that night, watching the river slip by like time itself. She thought of Haley, of Bill, of Andre, of the battles she'd fought, and the ones still waiting. But most of all, she thought of herself, who she used to be, who she was now, and who she was becoming. Haley might come back. Or she might disappear forever. But Dani no longer needed the answer. She had made her peace not with what had happened, but with who she had become because of it. Not a victim. Not even a hero. Just someone who survived. And sometimes, survival is the boldest ending of all.